I'd like to take you through my experience with Centonomy, and I hope by the time I finish, I'll have inspired at least one person, because Centonomy has worked for me. And I have a long history of joining groups which break up, and then I never stopped looking for a search to a solution to these financial challenges I've been having. But at least I settled in Centonomy because it taught things a bit differently. So for me to speak about it is because it has worked for me. So I'm a doctor. I work at the Provincial General Hospital and the other private hospitals in Nakuru. And I'm also a lecturer at Egerton University. I can see my students, some of them here. Thank you very much for coming. And I'll start my talk with a few quotes, which I'll repeat again and again. My presentation is very short, just 10 slides. The first quote I'd like you to take home, if you don't remember anything I said today, is you cannot solve a problem if you don't know that problem. So if you don't identify that you actually have a problem, and it's very, very painful to sit down and say, yeah, I have this problem. I think you're right. It's not easy. But if you can't identify a problem, you can't solve it. So if you're trying to solve a financial issue and you don't think you're a problem yourself, then you're very far away from getting any financial independence. And another thing is that everyone has an ideal perception of what is wealth. For me, it was leaving the country. Me, I used to admire people who just walk in and out of Kenya. I mean, you go to US, because I never had that chance when I was a child. So for me, subconsciously, it's still a very big thing if you can go in and out of country. In fact, my first salary, I left the country. For another person, it could be a huge car, you know? You know, there are cars you sit in, you feel it's a car, all right? Be a huge house. It doesn't really matter. It's okay. Everything is fine. But how do you finance that? That is what makes the difference, all right? So everybody has a different perception of what is wealth. It's how we finance it that really matters and makes the difference between how you create your wealth. Then, as I said this, it was a depressive discovery season. The second session of your personal finance management might drive you into depression. Waithaka had warned us. You will feel depressed. And then you finally realize it's not what you earn, it's what you save that really matters. You can earn a lot and you can even double your income. Same behaviors, you end up where you are. And then if you waste 5 shillings out of every 10 shillings, the day you will earn 10 million, you will not account for 5 million. Same behaviors. So you have to change this yourself so that you can manage a business that is giving you a lot of income. So charity begins at home. Very important saying. And that's why it's very important to first start with that personal finance session before you start thinking of your business. And there are many things you'll think you know, and you realize it's not so obvious. So my personal money management, basically you cannot solve a problem if you don't know what the problem is. So what are some of the problems I identified? I'll be very personal here, and I'll candidly give you some personal things, okay? But I've learned to be open. The first thing they took us was our mentality on money. These are my problems that I found. I found that I had fear of losing money. I was brought up by a father who would tell me, "We, unatupa pesa, si utapoteza pesa hapo. How do you go to invest there? Hey, buy land." And believe you me, I bought land. What am I doing with it? So I was very conservative with my investments. I was not investing in things that looked risky. So every county, and I've worked in 3 counties, Machakos, Makueni, Nakuru, I have land. What am I doing with it? Okay? So I would, every time I get money, I buy land. And I have bought so much plots and land, okay? Because of my fear of losing money. I cannot invest in a club that is coming up in Nakuru. I was taught not to lose money. Number 2, I would put money in the bank and just keep it there safe, all right? Not touch it. Don't take it anywhere else. Number two, it will also influence my choice of the partner I choose, because I could not socialize with someone who does not earn like me. Tunapeleka na wapi, you know. And you don't see the potential of this person, all right? You just want someone who rides this car, drives this kind of car, which sometimes is not really the right choice. There are people who are still in financial shambles and they're driving a good car. You'll be cheated. All right? My parents, I've started understanding my parents a bit, because there are things I would tell them and they'll tell me, no, you cannot think like that, Njoki. But after this, I see where they come from. They were not taught these financial things. So I understand them and I can see where they're coming from, and I'm slowly able to bring them back to see things the way I see things. And I'm happy we're now understanding each other with my dad. Fear of large figures. Me, if you bring me an investment and you tell me it's 20 million, nitatoa wapi 20 million. See, that's not for me. It used to be of, I cannot afford it versus how can I afford it. So nowadays, even when someone tells me this thing will probably cost 20 million, I sit down and listen. I don't get intimidated by that. So basically, everyone has their ideal perception of what is wealth. The important thing is how you finance that thing that you want so badly is what matters. So those are some of the problems I found myself having, my mentality about money. I also had several problems, not just that. My personal balance sheet. I left school immediately. I was not from a very badly off family. My parents were well off. I was chauffeured to school. I went to a good school. And immediately I went to medical school. I became an intern. I never tarmacked. I started earning immediately. So for me, I've never had a problem looking for money, being in serious need. And of course, I went ahead, I became a doctor, and I started living on the fast lane. The first thing I did, I bought a house, I bought a car, and even I bought for my dad a car. I had 3 liabilities, loans. I could pay for them, I was earning. That was before I came for Centonomy. I had many non-liquid assets, land, okay? Buy a plot, eh? I had no liquid assets. I had no savings in case of an emergency, and many came along. When I calculated my survival months, that is, if you take your expenditure and then you divide it by the savings you have, mine was -3. All right? And it was shocking. I cannot survive for even a 0 month, -3. For me, if I continue living with the way I was spending money with my lifestyle. I had total lack of regard for relationships with people who are not my level. Tunapelekana wapi? All right? Huyo ni mtu wa photocopy, M-Pesa, you know, that kind of attitude. I had it. I will not lie to you. So I wanted to associate more with people who I value and I think they are haves, not have-nots. I was in for a rude shock. After Centonomy, that first season, the first 2 classes, as I told you, it was a depressive period of self-discovery. I went into a bit of depression, but I'd been warned by Waithaka. The problems are continuing. Budgeting is now what we came to do next. We looked at our monthly budget. For me, it was not a big deal. I think I'm living within my budget. We were told to go home, do that budget, and put all the money you have used that year. Hata ile sukari ulinunulia mama ukienda, you have forgotten about it. Put it. Those licenses you pay in your businesses, weka zote hapo. That money you gave that taxi man, credit, put them, add them. And the human mind is so good. I remembered everything I did with that money that year. Then you divide that by 12. You will be shocked. You think you're living within your means. You're not. My budget was 3 times my income. I could not believe it. And I have been thinking I'm budgeting. I looked at my liabilities, the mortgages, the things I do, the holidays, the loans, my lifestyle. I had so many liabilities. And At that time, I was busy looking for a higher paying job in Nairobi, because to me, the Nairobi doctors are earning more and they are enjoying life more. So Nakuru was the problem. It can't be me. Because my lifestyle was just not, I'm not getting enough money to finance my lifestyle. So it's not what you save rather than it's what earns. So after I did that, I nilitulia Nakuru. I even turned down the job. So I identified my problems, that I told you it's depressing. Now, how do you manage these problems? Now that's what the last two things teach you in Centonomy. So I had to change my mentality about money. You have the ability to look at someone and see the potential in them. No matter what they do, you stop judging. You can actually pick somebody and say, this one has potential, even if they had nothing. All right? And that's how I pick even my employees. I can see her, well, she has the right attitude. She probably just needs a little bit more education. So I see people differently. The first thing I had to do is to get out of debt. I had taken loans. One was going to take me 20 years. That's the mortgage. My car loan was probably going to take me another 5 years, and my dad's loan for the car, a Prado, was going to take me maybe another 10 years, and I was financing them. I consolidated those debts. And this is what I did. I went to our circle. I told our circle, look, I'm giving so much money to the banks. I have 2 loans with the banks. I have 1 with you. They're taking all your interest. Why can't you just buy off these loans I have and put them, all of them, in the circle? Then they tell me, no, you don't have savings. I told them, look, I can accumulate my savings. Look at the broader picture. You will benefit from the interest I'll give these ones. And you know, I was the first person they did that for. So what I did is I actually utilized a good relationship as a tool. And I was able to consolidate that debt. So I moved away from the banks, first of all, and put it in the circle, because the circle was more friendly to me. We had a good relationship. So I was the very first person the circle did that for. And I was very surprised that I could make them think that way. And many others are doing the same. And then I just repaid off those loans. All right? And it took me a year. A loan which I had looked at paying off in 10 years, took me a year. 3 loans to pay off, because I prioritized those loans. Now, after I had paid off those loans, I had to tame my expenses to pay off those loans. These are some of the things I took. I used to go for conferences. I have to update my knowledge. And I want to be like the doctors in Nairobi. I want to go outside the country, because this is what I desire. So I would go for conferences. I would take my daughter to Abuja. We went to Abuja the other day. I went to Egypt. I go to US, Hong Kong. I wanted to live that life. I still do. And I discovered something very interesting. As a doctor in Nakuru, I had so many stakeholders who have vested interest in me. There's somebody who has a drug they want to start being used in Nakuru. And it's a very key drug, and I'm a very key stakeholder. And they'll come here and Njoki, why don't you push this drug for me in Nakuru? It's a good drug. And if I like the drug, I'd push it for them. But I never used to think beyond there. Then I realized, hey, wait a minute. I want to go for a conference, and I'd like to present my experience with this drug. How can you help me? And they'll say, oh yeah, that's a very good idea. In fact, we'll sponsor you for that conference. And that's how I go for the conferences. I don't pay from my pocket. I utilize a resource of a relationship with the stakeholders, and I go. And I take my daughter with me and my family. It may create conflict of interest, but when you learn the entrepreneurship bit, you will realize conflict of interest is the worst mistake you can make in business. Don't try to push something because it will give you money and take you for a conference. No. Take it because you believe in it, you have experienced it, it will be okay. But it's okay, go for the conferences. So, that's what I started doing first of all. To live that lifestyle I want without removing money from my pocket. My money was going to buy loans. Number 2, my shopping culture changed. Well, I would shop in Nakumatt. Me, I was a Nakumatt person, sincerely. I still am. But for the everyday need things, me, I don't go there. I shop in bulk. You will learn about that. And I save so much money from that. And there is also less wastage when you shop in bulk. And you create time for other things. But every time if you have to rush to a shop to go buy something, there's no time to do more important things. This thing called a money tracker, Waithaka will take you through it. How to track your money. You will understand why someone who is seemingly rich looks so stingy. Hey, they're tracking their money. And it will make you subconsciously start spending money consciously. Because before you don't spend money consciously, someone just comes, you give me 2K, you give them. You don't think twice. Okay? But when you start tracking your money, someone just asks you for money, you'll think twice. Not because you're mean, it's because you know the value of that money. And then they'll take you and tell you the value of 2K. When you put it in a place that is generating interest, how much a difference of 2,000 will make. So you'll think twice. You'll think twice before taking that car every day to a car wash. All right? So your spending habits change. So if you waste 5 shillings out of every 10 shillings, you will definitely waste 5 million out of every 10 million. You will not suddenly get the discipline. So if you cannot manage small money, you cannot manage big money. So if you're looking to make it big and you still don't know how to manage your own small personal finances, you will be shocked. You will mess with your business. You will not track money from your businesses. Now, what were the results of my personal money management? I'm still spending time on personal. I still insist on that one. Number one is I increased my net worth. I started investing more in liquid assets that were generating money from me. You will be told, go open a CDSC account. How many of you know where Central Bank is? In Nakuru. Even me, I did not know. I knew then. And how many have bought a bond? A government bond? How many know how they calculate those returns? You know, all these things which seemingly look so challenging, they are simplified so much, you will start trading in this. In fact, you're the one who will be telling them the bonds you want to buy. Even the shares. You will read that newspaper. You know that newspaper which is pink? Very difficult. It's like the color of her it's like a pink news. It's called the Business Daily. It's not easy to read it. It's quite challenging. They talk challenging things, but when you go through this course, you will understand what that thing says. The business segment in the news, you will understand. So I learned how to invest in liquid assets and to keep money for my emergency funds. But this is after I had done away with the debt and all the other things. I increased my knowledge on investment in liquid portfolio. I'm still learning a lot. Money market funds, how they work, market bonds, bills and shares. Very important, because this is where eventually your money works for you. And even when you become an entrepreneur, you have made a very good supermarket. You have a real estate that's bringing you income. At the end of the day, this income, you'll invest it somewhere to work for you. So you have to understand these things. It's not just making money and using it. No. You can invest it elsewhere and it will generate more money. So even if you're doing personal finance or entrepreneurship, at the end of the day, what is the net thing? You are getting an income. And you like to invest this income somewhere. So it's important to have this knowledge. Now, I changed my priorities completely. Whereas I would desire to go and spend money in a holiday, I'll take my children to a normal school, you know, which doesn't make sense. So I chose not to use my money to go for holidays and use other avenues, and checked my children to a good school, all right? So whereas I thought I was living a life, I was compromising my children's education, which doesn't make sense. So I changed my priority. I geared my money away from debts, away from extravagant lifestyles, and channel it to a better school where you can pay a little bit more, but you give your children a good education. I channeled it into getting my family a home where they can stay. I found I was having less fights with my partner because initially they were financially related, but the scope has all changed. And we now sit down and have good financial decisions. We make good financial decisions together and leave the fights for better things to fight for. And the habits, everyday habits, we'll eat less out in the hotels and probably concentrate on cooking. I would improve my cooking skills at home. And my children still enjoy it even better when I actually cook for them a dinner that, like the one they would eat in a hotel, okay? So I would concentrate, and it was also helping me. I was improving my cooking skills, you know. And I invite my friends to come eat at home. Still way cheaper than the way we used to go to the hotel. I encourage my children to walk more. We walk, just basically lifestyle improvement, because I want to enjoy this wealth for longer. And I'm able to prioritize my enjoyment as a person. If I get a chance to go outside for a holiday, which I've been sponsored for, I'm lucky to get a sponsorship, I will thoroughly enjoy it without feeling guilty, all right? Because you have set aside that time for you to enjoy. And it's important to enjoy the little luxuries in life. But how are you financing them? Very important. So after I had gone through my personal financial journey, I felt I was ready for entrepreneurship. This happened in 2017 now we are in 2018. So in 2018 is now when I don't know whether I'm correct, Waithaka, I've even lost track. I think 2018 is when we had the entrepreneurship. Yeah, 2017 we had the personal finance. At that point, Masha came and asked me, Njoki, would you like to give a talk or to do a video for Centonomy? And I asked her, of all people in that class, you're asking me, surely. Then she told me one thing. I still remember my mentality is still plaguing me. She asked me one thing, Njoki, from last year up to now, do you think there's a difference? And that's when I realized, actually there's a very big difference. I think I'm ready to give this talk. I was not feeling ready, but when she asked me that question, that's when I realized I didn't have a measure of growth, but I think I have undergone a dramatic change in just that 1 year. So Masha came over and they had a video of me in my entrepreneurship place where I was trying to start a business. So at that time, I was starting a furnished apartment. Why did I start a furnished apartment? It's because I was not getting a tenant in the first place. It's difficult to get a tenant in 3-bedroom houses. 6 months down the line, I still have no tenant. And an agent told me, try the furnished apartment. I felt a bit nervous, but I felt strong, empowered enough after the information in Centonomy. And I started the apartment entrepreneurship. And I made so many mistakes. I wish I had done entrepreneurship course before I started this apartment. Number one, I started it. I have not had a tenant for 6 months. I have had rumors that they are very high returns. And I was eyeing my parents' idle flats in Nairobi, which I wanted to convert into furnished apartments. I was not even getting clients in my furnished apartment, even after spending money to furnish it. And I was very upset with that agent. Sincerely, what kind of advice is that? So I decided, let me just close it down. But before I throw in the towel, let me attend the entrepreneurship program. Now, some of the things that it really showed, that came out is this. When you are an employed person like me, you're in a comfort zone. You get your salary every day without working. You know, your salary is guaranteed. So your business is known as a side hustle. That is where we start going wrong. If you take anything other than your employment as an extra side hustle, that's the way you're viewing your business, it will be exactly that, a side hustle. If you start anything other than your employment, in fact, the person who is not employed is more likely to succeed more than you who is employed. The biggest enemy to your business is employment. Once you're in that comfort zone and you know at the end of the month I'm going to get my salary, you're not going to give your business the attention it needs. I had to change that mentality and start viewing my houses as a business that I'm running, no matter how small they are. And, and the first thing I did is just separate the accounts. My salary does not touch my house account and any other business other than my employment. So every business has its own account, it pays itself, it pays its own workers. When you start putting money from your employment into your business and vice versa, you're just mixed up, okay? You will not see where your business is growing and where you're heading. The money for your business should be separated. Each business should have its own account so that you can account for that money and you can see whether your business is sustaining itself. And that's the first thing I did. I just separated those accounts. Now the house was supposed to run on its own, to employ its own workers, and to do its own repair and to sustain itself. Number 2, I'm a doctor. Specifically, I'm an anesthetist. I put you to sleep and make sure you wake up. Many people can put you to sleep, but me, I make sure you wake up, okay? After the surgery. And I cannot leave the operating room to go and attend to my business. It was really difficult. The visitor will call me, Njoki, I have some visitors who can tell you Njoki's place are the worst places to stay. She has no time. They came in when I was going through my journey. And they'll tell you, and I understand. There's a time I was running them myself single-handedly. And I'll try and do these things when I'm in theater, I'm picking phone calls. So I first wait, the patient is there, and I'm like, okay, kwa kuna maji? Okay, you know. And then I'll have to make a dash, then come back to the operating room. It was really hectic. And I'd said, I think this business is not for me. I can't make it. But now when I attended this one and they taught us how to put in structures, I think life was easier. While I used to manage those workers myself, I just went and removed all those workers. I put one person who is a manager. And all this you'll be taught, how to put structures. That girl only is the one I ask everything in that house. I don't even know who cleans it. She gets her own people. I just empower her. And you know, she will clean it to my standards. I'll come and find the houses clean. There's nothing amiss. She's the only one I ask, and nothing will disappear. The other time I'm trying to juggle workers, I find the house is still dirty, we quarrel. It was chaotic. Now I only deal with one person, and she manages the house. And I go to the operating room, I go and network, I have time. All right? So structures, very important. That is what saved my entrepreneurship, that class. Because I was able to actually continue with a business. It's sustaining itself. It's paying itself, and I'm even getting profit from it when I was about to throw in the towel. So there are some things which are a bit different when it comes now to the entrepreneur part. But most of the things, how you manage the finances, they are the same as your personal self. And it's important to first start with yourself. So basically, don't forget, you have to spend money, first of all, to generate money. Let nobody cheat you that you will put 10 shillings and win 20 million. Yeah, they're really hammering that point. But life doesn't work that way. It's okay, you'll put your 20 shillings, you will win 20 million when you bet. You could be lucky. But that 20 million will disappear so fast, you will not believe it. 20 million is a little money, especially when you don't know how to use it. So just know that wealth is created over time, yeah? And you need to spend money to make money. You'd wonder why I would want to go for another Centonomy class. I have money. No, I'm still trying to find more ways of getting money and sustaining that money that I already have, or making that money I already have to grow more. So you'll find these forums, unfortunately, are still being patronized by people who have money. They're the ones who are seeing the point. They're not for them. They probably know a thing or two. We want the real recruits who are still looking of ways to make this money. Very important. And I'm happy to see young people, even people who have not started earning, coming for these things. This is the time. If I'd started when I was your age, I would be far. So last but not least, this is my last slide. Yeah, those are my entrepreneur mistakes. I think I've already mentioned them. I would furnished my houses, I put nice things, and they were still so dissatisfied. These ungrateful customers. Do they know the cost of my house? Some would say, can't you give me for 3,000? What do you mean? Does it look like a lodging to you? This is an apartment. I was not understanding my market. And for sure, I stripped down to the basics. I noticed people are crying about cost. In fact, this is what I did. I would give them papers. I tell them, what do you want me to improve? And most of them will tell me cost is an issue. It's prohibitive. And that's what I worked on. And that way, people are coming to my house. It's cheaper. All right? And I put in structures so that I could buffer myself from that cost, which you'll be taught. I was managing my own business. I don't have time. All right? And I was not giving it the attention it requires. And I was pulling money from my business with my salary and mixing up everything. Okay? So you can't see where you're heading. Those are money mistakes I made, and I learned employment is the biggest mistake or the biggest threat to your business. So if you don't have a job right now, I think you have a better chance of starting a business than someone who is employed. What you might be lacking is capital, but believe me, you have a better chance. Sorry. So in summary, my entrepreneurship lessons, I started thinking big. Even if I have these houses, may not look like a big investment. It's running, it's making money. I can actually market them to a group of people who even run real estate, all right? And feel confident enough. I don't have to wait until I have, 1 million houses for me to say I have a business. No, I do have a business. It's making money. There's someone who is getting rent of 30,000 every month. Me, I get 100 from the same house, okay? So I can proudly say, yes, it's a business. And it's a furnished apartment, and you love it when you come. So I learned to think big. I can even sit down with someone who is running 1 million of them, and we'll compare notes on what you're doing right or not. It's the way you think. Where you place yourself is very important. Think of your business. Think of it big. Where do you want it to go in the next few years? And you'll be able to open up and talk to people who will give you good advice. I learned to put structures in my business because I don't want to be tied down to it. I think she brought it out very well. We have a supermarket. We are together. Can we close it for 12 weeks and go for Centonomy? She said that. Okay? But once you divorce yourself from your business, you can afford to have time to go for Centonomy, and your business is still running. You can afford to have time to go and learn new things that will help this same business grow. So you need to learn how to start your business and free yourself from that business so that you can have opportunity to look for more opportunities and to grow. That is one thing I learned very well. It's okay to talk about wealth. I know our African culture, our Christian background, wealthy people cannot enter heaven. Even like a camel can enter a needle, but not a rich man in heaven. It's like it's taboo. Wealth is criminalized. No, it's okay to talk about wealth. It's okay to say, I have lost. Even big companies declare losses to the tune of billions, and they declare profits. When you sit down with a group of wealthy people, they talk about wealth. They'll tell you, I've been trying to invest in this sector. It's not giving me returns. On the other hand, this one brought me millions. It's okay to talk about wealth and learn to talk about it. That's the only way you can be able to get information from other people in those sectors. Money management in business is the same principle as your personal finance. The principles are the same, really. So if you cannot manage your finance, you will not manage your business well. Investing money earned from entrepreneurship is the same principle as those ones you use to invest your personal money. At the end of the day, both will give you money. If you are employed, you get money. If you're entrepreneurship, you get money. The goal is still the money. Where do you invest it? Same principles. So one of the things that came out very clearly is that not everything is a financial asset. It's not always money. There are other non-financial resources. And one very important non-financial resource is relationships. When I say relationships, I don't mean boy-girl relationship, although even that one is okay. I mean relationship with people, with business partners, with stakeholders. That is a very important non-financial. And Waithaka will give you examples of people who started from zero, but because of good relationships they had with somebody, they were able to make it big. That is, the relationships is the last thing you should sacrifice in anything. Even with your, let me say, like my house help. Before I would chase them, kwenda huko, you don't know how to work. Go there, go to hell. Then she opens a shop next door, which is well stocked. I have to buy from that shop. It's really embarrassing. You need to, there's no need of burning a bridge. The least you can do is maybe ignore and move out of their circle. But don't burn bridges. You never know when you'll walk back on that bridge, okay? So relationships are gold. And it's a non-financial investment that is worth keeping, all right? That's why I'll take my time here and talk for Centonomy and building a relationship, all right? So these things are very good, and it's important that you cultivate this relationship and don't compromise a relationship for anything. That's what I was saying in entrepreneurship. Conflict of interest can really break a relationship. It's not worth it, okay? So non-financial resources, it's good to identify them and know what they are. It's not just the money. So in summary, to be a good entrepreneur, you need a solid base in personal finance management first. Then you can manage the finances of your entrepreneurship. And yeah, as the saying goes, charity begins at home. If yourself in your home, you can't manage your finances, I'm not so sure what you're busy doing thinking of a business. You need to start there first. If you're in debt, you need to first sort that out first before you can think entrepreneurship, all right? And by debt, I mean bad debts. Bad debts are consumer loans. They're not bringing in income. If you're in debt because you have put in a supermarket or real estate, that's good. It's paying itself. But if you're in debt, bad debt, I think hold your horses. You need to first sort yourself out, then think of big and think of being an entrepreneurship. Thank you.